You don't need talent. You need a system. In the next few minutes, you'll learn how to pick up any skill in just 30 days, using science, not guesswork. No fluff, no fake hacks, just real momentum, fast. All right, let's get real. 30 days isn't some magical number pulled out of thin air. It actually hits the sweet spot between consistency and dopamine. Here's the science. Your brain loves short-term challenges, long enough to build neural pathways, short enough to avoid burnout. And when you set a clear 30-day target, your brain goes, cool, I can commit to that. Research in habit formation shows that 21 to 30 days is when behavior starts to stick. Not fully automated, but sticky enough that you're no longer dragging yourself to do it. It starts becoming part of your routine. Plus, a fixed timeline forces you to focus. You start managing your time, measuring progress, and building what scientists call deliberate practice, which is just a fancy way of saying practice with purpose. Your confidence builds way faster than you think. Every win, no matter how small, triggers a little hit of dopamine. That's your brain's keep going juice. And when that happens consistently over 30 days, you're hooked in the best way. So yeah, 30 days isn't random. It's just long enough to rewire your brain and short enough to keep you hyped. The science backs it. The results prove it. Here's the first big trap people fall into when they try to learn something new. Picking a skill just because it sounds impressive. Like saying, I'm going to master quantum physics in 30 days. Respectfully, no you're not. Not in any deep, practical way. And that's not a dig. It's just not how real learning works. Your brain's not a sponge that soaks up complexity on command. It's more like a puzzle solver. And if the pieces are too abstract or scattered, it just checks out. So when you're choosing your 30-day skill, go for something actionable, measurable, and relevant to your actual life. Want to play guitar? Perfect. You can track that by learning 3 full songs by the end of the month. Want to improve your public speaking? Great. Set a goal to film and review 10 short talks. The point is to see your progress unfold like checkpoints in a video game. It keeps your brain engaged. And here's a secret weapon. Pick something feedback-rich, something that instantly tells you when you're off track. Think cooking, coding, drawing, storytelling, or learning a new language. If your omelet breaks, your app crashes, or your French sounds like a sneeze, you know immediately. That's gold. Avoid vague goals like be more confident or get smarter. Those aren't skills. They're the byproducts of practicing something real and focused. So pick a skill that gives back, that rewards effort with clarity. You're not here to look smart. You're here to get results. Let's say you want to learn video editing. Awesome choice. It's creative, in demand, and full of possibilities. But here's where most people mess up. They jump straight into the deep end with a goal like, I'm going to edit an epic YouTube video. That's the equivalent of walking into a bakery and saying, teach me how to make a 5-tier wedding cake, start to finish by tomorrow. Nope, let's pump the brakes. Instead, break the skill down. Think of video editing, not as one big skill, but as a bunch of smaller ones stacked together, kind of like Lego pieces. First, learn how to import footage into your editing software. That's your foundation. Then tackle how to cut scenes cleanly, just trimming clips without messing up the flow. After that, learn how to add background music, how to adjust volume levels, how to insert transitions, and maybe later how to color correct. These are micro skills, bite-sized chunks that are easier to learn, easier to track, and way less overwhelming than the vague goal of get good at video editing. Each small win builds momentum. You get faster, you get more confident, and suddenly, putting together a whole video doesn't feel so scary anymore. So break it down, always, because mastering a complex skill isn't magic. It's just stacking simple ones until they click. Why does this work? Because your brain loves completion. Every time you knock out one of these mini goals, it gives you a hit of satisfaction and momentum. And that momentum stacks. This breakdown method also helps you troubleshoot. If something's not clicking, you can pinpoint the problem piece rather than tossing the whole skill out the window. So don't just practice, deconstruct, find the building blocks, stack them one by one. That's how scientists and smart learners build mastery. This is where the real magic happens, not in some overnight transformation or epic 12-hour grind session, but right in your daily loop. It's simple, almost deceptively so. Practice, reflect, repeat. That's it. Those 3 steps are the quiet, unglamorous engine behind every success story you've ever admired. Practice is obvious. You show up, do the reps, and put in the time. But here's where most people stop. They forget the second part, reflect. That means looking back and asking, what worked? What didn't? What felt confusing? Where did I stumble? Without that pause to assess, you're just spinning your wheels. Practice alone doesn't make perfect. Practice plus insight does. Then comes the third part, repeat. But not just rinse and repeat mindlessly. You repeat with tweaks, with adjustments, with a sharper eye. You're not looping in circles, you're spiraling upward. The best part? This process doesn't need to be long. Even 30 minutes a day run through this cycle with intention can yield insane progress over time. It's how musicians master solos, how coders debug faster, how athletes fix their form. So lock in that loop. Practice, reflect, repeat. Because if you get that right, there's almost nothing you can't learn. When you practice, don't go through the motions. Be intentional. Do the thing you're trying to learn for 20 to 60 minutes max, just enough to stretch your brain without frying it. Short, focused sprints beat long. Distracted marathons every single time. Next, reflect. Ask, what worked? What didn't? Where did I get stuck? Most people skip this part, and it's a huge mistake. Reflection is where your brain makes connections. It turns raw effort into insight. And then you do it again tomorrow and the next day. That repetition, done consciously, is where skill turns into instinct. You stop thinking so much and start flowing. Muscle memory kicks in. Neural patterns lock in. This daily loop isn't flashy, but it's deadly effective. Think of it like compounding interest, except instead of dollars, you're stacking skill. So set a time, show up, rinse and repeat. Here's a truth nobody tells you. You don't need to learn everything to be good. You just need the right 20%. That's the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, and it's your shortcut to learning smart. Basically, 20% of the skills in any field will get you 80% of the results. Want to play guitar? You don't need every chord in existence, just a handful of power chords and some basic strumming patterns, and boom, you can play 90% of pop music. Want to speak Spanish fast? Skip the rare grammar rules. Learn the top 300 most used words and you'll understand half of what people say. This rule lets you dodge the slow lane. Instead of wasting hours on stuff you'll barely use, you laser in on what actually matters. It's focused laziness, and it works. So when you're learning something new, ask yourself, what's the smallest piece I can learn that gives me the biggest win? Find it, master it, then move to the next. That's how pros get good fast. And don't worry, you can always nerd out on the details after you're competent. Learning in a vacuum? That's not learning, that's just guessing. And guessing is slow, painfully slow. If you want to learn fast, really fast, you need feedback. Real, honest, sometimes uncomfortable feedback that doesn't care about your feelings, only your growth. Imagine this, you're shooting arrows in the dark. You keep releasing, hoping to hit something. But feedback? That's someone flipping on the lights. Suddenly, you see where you're missing, where you're overshooting, and, surprisingly, where you're accidentally nailing the bullseye. Without that light, you'll just keep missing the target and thinking, well, that felt right. And that's the danger. You'll unknowingly get really good at doing it wrong. Now here's the twist. Feedback doesn't mean waiting for a mentor on a mountain to give you wisdom. You can self-review. Watch your own recordings. Compare your work to benchmarks. Use tools and AI that provide instant scoring. What matters is creating the loop. Do review, adjust, repeat. And most importantly, don't take feedback personally. It's just data, not a judgment, not a roast. Every correction is a breadcrumb on your trail to mastery. The more feedback you seek, the faster you grow. So hunt for it, lean into it, because feedback isn't failure. It's your fastest route to greatness. Want to know the silent killer of learning momentum? Your environment. That cluttered desk, the 10 open tabs, the background Netflix. Yeah, those aren't just distractions. They're skill killers. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your setup. So let's fix it. If you're learning to code, build a clean workspace with zero notifications and quick access to your ID. If it's a language, put Post-its on your fridge, use your phone to switch your interface to Spanish, and follow Spanish meme pages. Whatever the skill, build a space that screams, "This is what I do now," and make it frictionless. Your brain is lazy, blessed, so if there's even a little resistance like digging out your sketch pad from under a pile of clothes, it'll give up before you start. Keep your tools visible. Remove temptation. Turn your environment into a quiet coach that nudges you forward. Because here's the deal. Willpower fades, but your environment, it's always there. Make it your ally. Most people just wing it and hope they're improving. But if you're serious about learning in 30 days, you need to think like a scientist. Experiment, observe, adjust. Tracking isn't about being obsessed with numbers. It's about visibility. You want to see your progress. If you're learning photography, Don't just shoot pics, review them. What's sharper? What's still off? If you're working on public speaking, record yourself. Count the ums. Watch your body language. See what changes every few days. The best learners aren't the most talented, they're the most aware. And the way you get aware is by logging what you did and what happened. That's your feedback loop again, but with data you control. Try simple things. A daily journal, a habit tracker, a before-after comparison. Doesn't need to be fancy, just real and honest. Because progress isn't just about moving, it's about moving in the right direction. And you can't fix what you don't measure. You made it to day 30. You've put in the reps, tracked your growth, fought through the dip. Now the big question, how do you keep this skill from fading into a "remember when I tried" story? Simple. Transition from learning mode to maintenance mode. You don't need the same intensity anymore, just consistency. Let's say you spent an hour a day learning to sketch. Now, maybe 10 minutes a day keeps your hand fresh. You built a neural groove. Now you just need to run the card over it often enough that it doesn't vanish. Also, start using the skill in real life. If it's writing, publish something. If it's public speaking, host a small event or record short videos. When a skill becomes part of your identity, it sticks. You stop saying, "I'm learning to code," and start saying, "I'm a coder." That mental switch locks it in. Learning fast is cool, but staying skilled? That's where the power really is. And there it is, the full 30-day roadmap to learn any skill. No magic, no genius genes, just science, structure, and showing up every single day. You've got the tools, you've got the method, and most importantly, you've got the momentum. Now it's your turn to act. Pick one skill, just one. Start the clock today. Set up your why, your plan, your feedback loop. Forget perfection, focus on progress. Every skill starts clumsy, but 30 days from now, you'll be dangerous. If this helped clarify how learning actually works, smash that like button so the algorithm knows you're leveling up. Drop a comment with the skill you're starting, and let's hold each other accountable. And if you want more deep dives into how to hack your brain, your habits, and your potential, hit subscribe. This is the part where most people scroll away. Don't be most people. Be the one who learns on purpose.